This project I started with an 8x8 canvas that I painted with apple barrel paint, the color Caribbean. I let it dry overnight, and then I took the canvas and set it up on 4 cups to prepare it for resin. The resin I'm using for this project is KS resin. It's a 1-to-1 ratio resin that you mix slowly in a cup for 3 minutes, scraping the side and scraping the bottom to ensure thorough mixing. I took it, dumped it on the canvas, and just spread it out with my gloved hand. I used the kitchen torch to get rid of the bubbles, and I let this dry for 24 hours before I did the next step. So I took it out to the garage, and I got the Dawn Power Wash, and I sprayed the sides and the top. Then I took a paint primer spray paint, and I sprayed the sides and the top, just squirts, not full coverage. And I let this sit for about 5 minutes, and then I took water and I dumped it over the sides and the canvas to rinse everything off, the power wash off, I guess. The spray paint stayed on. So I think that turned out so cool. It reminds me of coral, doesn't it? It looks just like coral, so I thought this would be great for a nautical or kind of sea-themed Valentine heart. And in the beginning, I was going to put this fishnet on there. These are some fishnets. You can buy fishnets, but they're usually not as stiff as this. But anyway, I don't end up using it. So I print out off of the computer a heart, and what I do is I use that heart on top of some carbon paper, yellow carbon paper, so that I can see it. I first tried white and then I couldn't see it. And I outlined on top of it, and it does make a very light yellow line. And then I go ahead and I put make the heart out of the crushed seashells. These crushed seashells I did pick up at Michael's. And then I put a bunch of little shells and starfish on top of it, and then I decide I don't want the fishnet and I take it off. So that little crab is actually a brooch that I'm going to use. Next, I take a look at my heart and I decide that it's way too far down on the canvas. It's not centered. I have the worst time centering stuff, so I have to take all these shells and push them back up, further up to the top, and then try to straighten the whole thing out all over again. And then that crab brooch that I have, in order for that to sit flat on your canvas, what you have to do is flip it over and take the pin off of the back of it. And I just use this little tool and kind of twist it back and forth. With some brooches, you got to kind of be careful because some are delicate and you can actually break or bend the brooch. But this was a pretty sturdy one, and I think that crab is just so cute and just perfect for the project. And then it's pretty much ready for the resin. So for this project, I used art resin. Art resin is a 1-to-1 ratio resin that you mix slowly in a cup for 3 minutes, scraping the sides, scraping the bottom to ensure thorough mixing. The slower you mix it, the less bubbles you'll get. I do have this video sped way up. After 3 minutes are up, you'll see it has gone from clear to cloudy and back to clear again. It's ready to pour. Usually when I pour my resin, I drizzle it over the glass, or in this case the shells first, to ensure that it's thoroughly covered, and then I start going up and around on the canvas. I use this little tool with a silicone tip to spread all the resin out. Sometimes I'll use a spoon, sometimes I'll use my fingers. And you can see under there that I do have this placed up on 4 cups, because if you resin it sitting directly on top of a protective cover, it will stick to it. And even though this is silicone underneath, if you were to resin it sitting directly on the silicone, it would puddle all around the edges and dry like that. So after I'm done spreading all the resin out, and you can see I'm doing all the sides, I like all my sides covered, I do use the kitchen torch to get rid of the bubbles. And after I finish a project, I do come back several times every 15 minutes to check for placement, to retorch if it needs it for the bubbles, and Now I'm putting the little crab on, and I do pour a little bit of resin over top of him. So this particular resin cures best at temperatures between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. It needs to sit on a flat level surface for 24 hours. You can usually touch it between 12 and 24 hours, but it does take a full 72 hours to cure. Every resin is different. You need to read the directions for the resin that you are using. Hey everyone. So I have been wanting to do this for a few months now, the Dawn dish soap. I had seen somebody post on our Facebook page something similar to this. The canvas was similar, but not the artwork on the front. And I know that a lot of people have been doing it. I've seen a lot of different posts in different places, some on Pinterest. But I thought, oh, well, I'll do it with a heart and do kind of a coastal theme because I don't know about you guys. I've seen hearts done every single way. You go on Pinterest, Etsy, tons and tons of hearts. I'm sure this same heart is, you know, they do it with glass, they do it with shells, they do it all different ways. But I thought to add to this, I thought it would be kind of cool to do the Dawn dish soap. And the one the other lady made almost looked more like waves and water, but to me this looks like coral. Doesn't it look like coral? So anyway, and I hated to cover up so much of it because I thought the prettiest part was right up at the top, but I mean, I can't make the heart any smaller than that. It would look silly. And anyway, so that was a lot of fun. So this is actually the second one I did. The first one, the first day I went out to try it, it was windy out, and I shouldn't have done it outside to begin with. I should have done it in the garage because you could, you know, just lay it flat. So I took, I'll show you what I did. So this is the first one I did, and I did video it, but I didn't want to bore you with it. And I just didn't like the way the white turned out on there. It doesn't look bad now that I look at it. So I decided to still, you know, resin it and put something beachy like on it. So that was that. And the wind was blowing, and I had this piece of plastic up, and the plastic kept on blowing on top of it, and it was a disaster. So anyway, that's okay. I really like the way that this one turned out much better. So while I had the small one out there and was experimenting, I also did a larger one because I thought, oh, why does this all have to be all beach themed? Can't we maybe use that technique for something else? So I had this old board that was already sprayed this burgundy red, and I decided to try it with a gold, and I think that's kind of cool, don't you? I don't know what I'd put on it, but I just thought that was cool. And I'm going to show you the bottom. I don't know if you can tell, I kind of messed up. I had the white spray paint out there and the gold, and you know, the wind was blowing, the piece of plastic was going all over the place. So I quick grabbed the spray paint and started spraying. Well, I grabbed the white instead of the gold. So I quick then picked up the gold and went over it. So you can see a little remnant of the white at the bottom, but I still think that looks kind of cool. I was wondering what ideas you would have, because to me that doesn't, you know, look beachy by any means now. It's just a really cool canvas the way it's coated. So I don't know if you guys have any ideas what we could put on that. Anyway, I just thought I would show you that. So don't do it on a windy day. So when I ended up doing this one here, I laid it down on the workbench in the garage, sprayed it with the Dawn, and sprayed the spray paint on it, waited 5 minutes, then took it outside to put the water over it. And anyway, and you can see how I did the edges too, so that you could see, so that it had the same effect all the way around it. Because this is a fairly thick canvas. I don't know if it's 2 inches, but it's thick. Anyway, so anyway, this was a fun project. I've been wanting to try it. I might do it on some other projects later in the year. I think it would look really cool. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Really helps the channel. If you enjoy the channel, go ahead and subscribe. We have the Facebook page going, a lot of good information, a great place to ask questions. Everybody's very friendly, very helpful, and I hope you guys all have a great day. Thanks for watching.